Hello, we are live.
Hello.
How are you? How is everything?
Everything's great. How are you, Taylor?
I'm doing fabulous. Well, everyone, welcome to our webinar. Today, we are going to teach you about setting up your Tripleseat settings for success. My name is Taylor Duncan. I am the account manager over the Central and Mountain regions. So hopefully I do know some of my customers here that are with us today. I actually live in the Dallas market, and I used to work for a restaurant group that used Tripleseat for all of our restaurants, actually, including catering. So definitely love the brand, super happy to be on board. And I have here with me Miss Emily.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. I am the account manager for the Southern region. I also have some other states mixed in. I live in South Florida. I live in Miami, and I have been with Tripleseat for over 4 years now. And fun fact is actually Taylor was one of my customers when I was overseeing the Texas area and lived in the Dallas market. Also used Tripleseat as a customer when I oversaw many event locations, and loved the software so much that I had to work for them. So here I am now, and we are so excited to have you guys with us today. I know that our industry is going crazy. We feel like we are short-staffed, and we feel like events are just piling up on us, and really understanding how to manage your Tripleseat software, improve your productivity, generate more leads. This is just going to set you up for success and make your job a lot easier. So taking this time to organize yourself and set your site up correctly will ultimately, in the end, make your life a lot easier.
Absolutely. But before we do that, can we please talk about the most important thing in the world right now?
Yes.
Our
babies.
And you want to talk about your children?
Sure. Okay. So the most important child I have right now, her name is Colette, and she's on the right hand side of your screen, maybe. My black and white little baby sheepadoodle. And we got her about 4 months ago. So she is a quarantine puppy. And she's a mixture of a poodle and a sheepdog. And she's just the sweetest little thing in the world. And I always said my husband can't give me a baby girl, so I got a puppy that's a girl. And then my second important is my actually human child. And his name is Bex, and that's B-E-X. And he's in his little swim outfit on the way to the beach. And we are just so happy that he is back at school and mommy is back at work. So
there you go.
My important children.
Awesome. And then for me, I'm sure there aren't as many cat lovers as dog lovers, but my first child in the far left, his name is Grizzy. He's about 10 years old now, so he's definitely he's my old child. He's so sweet. He's such a cuddle bunny, and he thinks he's a dog, so he plays fetch and does all the dog things. It's weird. And then my absolute pride and joy, who literally owns my whole life, is Miss Kira. She is 8 months old, and she is the best ever. She's taken over my Instagram. I don't think I post pictures of myself anymore. So
yeah. Does Kira and the cat, do they like socialize, get along? Do they like each other?
She likes him, and he runs away. And that's the story of their lives.
Well, hopefully it gives you a little bit insight on who we are. We're restaurant people. We have cats and dogs and children.
Yeah, and we have fun.
Yeah. So we're going to go, actually, I'm not going to review this agenda. I'll just let you guys read it because I think it's just pointless to read over this slide. But really, today we're going to be talking about settings and all the important things to organize your Tripleseat system. So just to make this easier, and so we don't sit here and stare at ourselves the whole entire time, we're going to take our cameras off and we're going to go to our test site. Our test site has a lot of restaurants associated with it. So when you're on this call and you're saying, well, my site doesn't look this way, it's because we have 6 restaurants associated with our test site, and you might be looking at your settings that just has 1 restaurant. So keep that in mind as we're going through the process. Taylor, anything else to say before we take ourselves off the camera?
One thing to note for the meeting that is happening, was supposed to happen right after this meeting. It's actually being rescheduled to next Wednesday, same time. If you registered for this next webinar, you will get an email. You'll also automatically be re-registered for next week. So hopefully you can make it. But again, we're so glad you joined us and we're excited to get started.
All right. And if you cannot make that other meeting, we have plenty of great things on Tripleseat University that you can take a look at, great videos. And also you can go to YouTube to be able to get to Tripleseat University. Just so we're cool, Trailer, can you see my dashboard?
I can see your camera right now. Okay, now I can see your dashboard.
Okay, great. So we're going to start by talking about preferences. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to settings in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen where the little widget lives. And we're going to go to the first tab under general, which is called preferences. Okay, so a little bit on this page that I wanted to review. The first part are the event status rules. These rules are only going to be able to be accessed by an administrator on your team. So if you're in settings and preferences and you don't see this, you want to contact the person that created your site or maybe your director or owner of the business. So there's two things in this area I want to talk about. The first is overlapping statuses. So a little bit about statuses in Tripleseat and the way we see them is that a prospect is somebody that we're just talking to. So generally we could be talking to 4 or 5 prospects that are on the same date and looking at the same time of their event. And really it's who's going to sign that contract first or who's going to give us the deposit first. So once they come into the lead stage, the minute we know they're alive, they're actually somebody that's interested in booking an event, we're going to convert them to the prospect stage. When we do that, we'll be able to see on our right-hand side that we might have several other prospects during that time. And that could light a little fire underneath that person or that contact and say, hey, you know, I have somebody else looking at this event on this day. So we're going to allow those to overlap with each other. In Tripleseat's eyes, when somebody gets to a tentative stage, that's when we're waiting on a signature, we're waiting on a credit card authorization form, or we're waiting on some sort of confirmation to move that status to the definite stage. So technically, we don't want to have multiple tentative events overlapping each other. Now, some people do want those stages to overlap each other, and that's why we created this area to allow tentative events to overlap with prospect and to allow them to overlap with tentative. Now, when we do that, a little cautionary sign comes up at the bottom, which says, hey, don't overbook this room. So this is just if you're using our site differently than the way we've explained our status rules. One other cool thing about this, though, if you did want to have some sort of overlapping with a specific event type, we could also go to settings in our rooms and ignore conflicts that happen within that area. So one example of that would be maybe if I'm giving a tour and I'm allowing numerous tours to happen at the same time and they're definite events. Instead of changing it on my event status rules, I might want to come to settings, locations, edit room details, and allow the conflicts to happen within the room. So you see here, I'm allowing my delivery and my catering and my pickup to have conflicts. So I can have multiple definite events at the same time in that specific room. Now, you might have your rooms locked. So this would be something that you want to contact your Tripleseat representative or the support department about. The second thing I want to talk about on this page is the site color theme. So you can see I have the traditional blue site color theme, but I can also change that to a different color and update my page and make my whole theme of my page red. Now, when you do this, you do choose the site for everybody on your team.
Yes.
Taylor?
I have had this happen to me before, and I will tell you, I was actually confused if I was within my Tripleseat site before, because we did have multiple customer admins with the last company that I worked for. And I remember going in one day and, let's say your typical site color is blue, and then all of a sudden it's a bright red. It almost feels like a different site. So I will say, like Emily said, just make sure you are changing it for everyone, and it can get confusing. So I would just be aware of that before you decide to get all excited and start changing colors.
The funny thing is, Taylor, even now with, 2,000 accounts that we have, when I log into someone's site and it's red, I'm like, what's going on? Why is it red? So even me seeing it in a different color is a little bit of a shock. And I love to have it in the traditional site colors.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm used to saying, is there any questions? But since I'm just talking to you, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. So my next tab over are my drop downs. This is super, super important, guys. You want to make sure that you edit all of these drop downs. So I'm going to touch on a couple of them that I find to be really important. The first one is going to be loss reasons. And this came into play around COVID. People wanted to know how much money they were losing, why they were losing those events. And at the beginning, obviously, everything was COVID. But then when we got to a certain point that people started booking events again or rescheduling their events, more things came into play. So this is a great area to add things like maybe competition or maybe cost or maybe space. So when you're going to the owners of your business or the directors of your business and they're saying, hey, Emily, event sales are down. Why are you losing sales? We can run an event loss report and say, well, we lost $20,000 this month because our cost was too high. Mm-hmm. And you can come to them and say, obviously we need to lower our food and beverage minimum, or maybe we need to increase our deck size to make our space bigger because people are looking for venues that host 100 to 150 people. We can only host 80. Mm-hmm. So really able to gather that data is making sure that you are putting in the reasons. Now, this little button here on the right-hand side is allowing explanation. I don't always recommend this just because I like my reports to be clean, nice, and organized. And I want to sort it by the reason why we lost the event. And I really don't want to see that explanation in there. Now, maybe you guys do, and you can type it in, but I definitely recommend having these hot buttons, as I like to call them. Okay, so next area I want to talk about is event types. Definitely need to have this happen. And I talk about this nonstop with my customers. What you put into Tripleseat is what you're going to get out of Tripleseat. So if you have a lot of bar mitzvahs, a lot of office meetings or holiday parties, you definitely want to add those event types in here because we're able to sort our reports by event type. We're also able to sort it by market segments or lead sources. So we can really understand why our people are coming to us and how our people are coming to us. Later on in this call, I'm going to talk a little bit about creating lead forms. And one really important part of that lead form is making sure that we can identify where the leads are coming from. Yes. So for that purpose, I went ahead and put in here cold calling, and I put in membership, and I'm going to go ahead and put in Instagram in here. I'm just going to put Insta because I'm good like that. And I'm also going to put TripAdvisor, and I like to make it a little short. I'm going to press update, and now I have those additional lead sources. So when it's time to do that lead page, we're going to remember where I customized my drop downs. Mm-hmm. One other drop down is setup type, and this is definitely something that's going to be customized to your area. That's it for my preference portion. I'm going to go in to talk a little bit about locations, which we've already seen before when I went to edit my details. So I'm going to go ahead and go to settings, and I'm going to go to locations. It's my second one down right underneath preferences. So once again, I mentioned earlier on that I have numerous locations underneath my test site, and you can see those all here. I'm going to go ahead and choose At Your Service Catering, and I'm going to click Edit Details. So we're going to talk about your guest portal on here. Guys, I love the guest portal. Taylor, do you love the guest portal?
I love the guest portal, and I love that you can customize the colors of your guest portal.
My favorite portion as well. So if you're an event venue, I think this is like 100% must, because brides love having their own little website. So think about this as their event website that they can go on, they can add tasks, they can see what type of statuses they have, see what type of events, documents they have, see the discussions that you've had, everything all in one area. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I recommend that you guys do before you get started is take a look at your guest portal images. This is very similar to a banner picture on your Facebook page. If you want to see what this looks like to your guests, you can always go to Edit Details, Guest Portal to see a live guest portal page. This is really what your guests are going to be seeing. And I'll tell you, it makes me so sad when I go around and people have the barnyard picture on here, because that's what we put in at the beginning of your site if you didn't have a picture, and nothing, it doesn't look great when a seafood restaurant has a barnyard picture at the top, right?
Agreed.
Okay, so to make changes on here, obviously adding your logo, you can just choose a file from your computer and add your logo in this area. If you wanted to change your colors for your guest portal, we can click on the color and move the cursor around to get the new color. Once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and change it. You can see the numbers changing and the colors changing. I always say you want the color on your letters to match a color in your logo or a color in your banner picture. So this is a great example of choosing red, and the red matches the tomatoes. But if I did want to choose green, I could do that as well. This is kind of fun to play with. There is a website called Google Color Picker where you can figure out the colors that are in your logo or on your website, get the exact number, and then copy and paste in this area. I wanted to show you guys what that would look like, what the guest portal looks like for the guest. So I'm just going to come to my test event, and I'm going to go to Actions Guest Portal. So we can see a live page of what this is going to look like to your guest. So you're going to see a picture of your event manager, any activity that you've had, as well as your documents, your discussions, your payments, and your tasks. Okay, so Taylor, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, great. The next section we're going to go to is lead notifications. It's going to be in that same area under settings, locations, edit details. Right underneath the guest portal are your lead notifications. This is who's going to receive that lead after the guest has filled out your lead form. So this says Emily and Jonathan, our CEO, are the people that are going to get leads for At Your Service Catering. If you have one email address that everybody in your event department uses, you can go ahead and add that email address here. So if I had events at tripleseat.com, that email address is going to receive all of the lead notifications. One little note I will tell you is you do probably want to remove that lead recipient from the discussion after the lead is converted. So if you have one email address that 7 event managers answer, and then after you've converted them to a prospect, you are assigning an owner to that lead, then you're going to remove the events at tripleseat.com email address from the discussions.
Fabulous.
All right. Taylor's going to take over and talk a little about user roles next.
I am. And now that we're actually going to be talking about user roles, I do have a quick question for you.
Uh-oh.
Are you guys cooking over at your place? Because I definitely hear like someone's in the kitchen.
Oh, okay. We'll make sure that there's no cooking going on.
Well, I think maybe you could actually teach me, because one of the things I want to discuss today is the chef role. But
Okay.
before we get into that, I do want to talk about users. So there are a number of different things that you can do with your users. A, you can search them by name. B, you can show your suspended users. So maybe you want to unsuspend someone, especially if they came back from furlough. And C, you can add a new user, or we can actually go in and edit an existing user. So for simplistic reasons today, I am actually going to search for myself. I today am going to be a chef, but again, I wish in real life I were a chef. My husband does the cooking in our household. So Taylor Duncan, she has the chef role. She also has all of the locations available in the North region, which again, in our test site is a lot. But one thing I want to show you specifically today is the fact that Taylor does not have the Daily Digest enabled. So the Daily Digest email is going to give her every event that's happening on that day. If there are any tasks associated with those events specific to Taylor, those can also show up in the Daily Digest. So we're going to go in and check off Enable Daily Digest email. Something else I do want to point out while we're in here, notice how, of course, I am an active user. If for some reason I moved on and I became a world-renowned chef somewhere else, we could always uncheck this, and then that would suspend me as a user. We always recommend doing this versus deleting a user, because if you delete this user, it's going to delete any of the basically anything that I was associated with, I will no longer be associated with, and then we will have to move all of that data over to a different user. So it's just more organized to keep everything as is, suspend the user so they no longer have access, and then you don't have to worry about it. So we're gonna go ahead and update this user. Now we're actually going to go over back into our settings, and we're gonna go to user roles. So I will tell you, for me personally, user roles, they were definitely a little confusing because I didn't truly understand how to utilize them. However, Tripleseat does automatically build out your site with a number of roles. You can either choose to use those roles, you can customize them, you can delete them if they don't apply, or you can always add your own. So we're telling you to set your site up for success. This is one of the ways you can do it, is by adjusting the user roles to make sense for your location and your venue. And Emily kind of touched on this before, but one thing to be aware of is any changes to a user's role do need the permission of a customer admin. So they can either, if you're a regular admin, you can reach out to your customer admin, which is the owner of your site. Maybe it's your director. They can make those user role adjustments, or the customer admin can reach out to us as your account managers for that approval. So because in my fake world, I am a chef, we're gonna go into this chef user role.
What's your favorite dish that you make as a chef?
Oh, goodness. Well, since I'm Italian, I would probably have to say meatballs, but realistically, my mother makes them. So what's yours, Em?
Oh, God, reservations.
Oh, facts. There you go. And this is why we work for Tripleseat, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so when we go into this user role, we do have the ability to check off specific items that we want the chef role to have access to. It does tell you what you're actually giving access to as well, which is really helpful, of course, when you're going through this. The few things that I do want to specifically point out, notice how under events, right now the chef role has the ability to create events. Maybe that's not necessarily going to work for your venue. We can go ahead and adjust that to view events only. And then it does give you the descriptor of what that actually entails for viewing events. So we went ahead and made that change. If I scroll further down, another thing I'd like to look at right here is tasks. So right now the chef doesn't have any access to tasks, but let's say that we want to set manual tasks or automatic tasks specifically for our chef to maybe set orders a week before the event is due. We can go in and add tasks, and that way they can create tasks as well as view and close their own. And then a little further down, this is where your templates and layouts are able to be selected. Right now, the chef only has availability to view the kitchen sheet. So maybe we also want to give them access to the menu. Just go ahead and click off menu. The last thing to know about user roles is if you have any new documents, templates, layouts, etc., that you have added into your site after the user role has been created, you do need to go back in and give those user roles access to those specific templates and layouts that you have now created, because again, they were created after the user role. So we're just going to hit update.
Taylor, I wish we can like highlight, bold, and underline that statement, because everybody forgets that all the time.
I know. It's tough. It's something that I've actually forgotten many times and not understood why I couldn't see new locations that were added or new documents added. That is so Emily's actually going to start talking about custom fields and reporting. But while you're switching over, I do want to note one suggestion for user roles: limit the number of admins in your site, because too many cooks in the kitchen, especially people like me who can't cook, are going to maybe adjust certain settings in your site that you don't want them to have access to. So keep your user roles clear and concise, limit the number of admins, and you'll truly be more set up for success.
Taylor, you're so cute. All right, I'm going to talk about custom fields. Just confirming, Taylor, can you see my screen right now?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay, so as we went through before, we're going to go to settings in the bottom left-hand corner, and we're going to go to the second tab under general called custom fields. So custom fields are exactly what they sound like. They're going to be fields that are for your location, your group, or your restaurant company. So keep in mind, anytime that you delete anything off this page, you could be affecting other people in your company that have put custom fields in here. So some common custom fields that we like to put on here are things like deposits, so that are specific towards your location. And you can see I have a couple on here. I also have some off-site details. And then I have one that I created today called event final sales. People call me about this all the time, and especially a lot of you that are probably on the call that have migrated over from our sister system, Gather. Or should I call it a brother system? One of those. So Gather and Tripleseat, we're one now, but Gather did something different at the end of the event, is that you actually went in to add the final sales. I know when I was an event manager, I was always looking for this button. So creating a custom field is great for this. It can show me the difference between what I planned my event to be, so my grand total, and what actually happened on the day of the event. Maybe they added some extra wine, or maybe they added a couple of appetizers. So if I want to have the final sales on there and report on them, I could add this. Just a side note, you also could detail out your contract and event order with what was actually added to the event to have the grand total be the event final sales. A little bit of a shortcut. And I want to show you what this would look like in a report. So I built a report for you all. We're going to go to reports. And I'm going to go to my event detail report, Emily's final sale report. So we can see in here, my report that I created shows you that I had an event, my sales tax, my gratuity totals, my actual sales, which is your
subtotal, right?
Yep, thank you. And then your grand total, which is your subtotal with tax and gratuity added, and then what I actually did. So you can see what a difference this event was with what we planned and what actually happened on the day of the event.
I love this because I love seeing the difference in what people think they're going to spend or what they ordered ahead of time versus where they ended up. I think it's really helpful too to see what servers or bartenders you had on the event, because you'll be able to see who is actually upselling on that day, and let's put them on events if you get commission.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to go back to custom field. So setting, second tab over, custom field. And I'm going to talk about a custom field that's on a contact, which is a little different than the event custom field. So 2 custom fields that I like to use on an event contact is birthday and anniversary. So a lot of times as we're building that event, we're not going to get that data as we're taking down, how many people and what time do you want to come to set it up. But maybe during our discussions with them, maybe they say, oh, my birthday's next week and so this happened, right? Right away, we can put that birthday in there. Or maybe we do collect that data from our customer while we're building the event. We can then run reports for our contacts that have birthdays for the month of May or June or anniversaries to be able to maybe get some more sales from them, maybe rebook their event next year on their birthday, or suggest hosting an anniversary party. Something else that some of our customers do is using a membership ID number. If you're a country club, maybe you have like a frequent buyer card for your locations, and we can run reports of everybody's contact information, their birthdays, their anniversaries, and their membership number.
Emily, fun fact, it's actually my anniversary today.
Really? Oh my God, how exciting. How many years?
3 being married, but we've been together for like 13.
Wow. Mm-hmm. He waited a while to pop that question. 10 years. I think what you should do though is always celebrate the year that you started together. So 13, let's just call it that from here on. All right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about automatic tasks. Oh, actually, you know what? I do want to say one more thing on this page about custom fields before we go to automatic tasks. If you delete a custom field, which we talked about at the beginning, you are going to delete that for everybody in your company. So if you have 18 locations and you no longer want it to be called membership number and you want to be called membership, if you delete that, it's going to delete it for everybody. However, if I press the delete button, it is going to ask me if I want to delete it, okay? It's also going to ask me if I want to merge it into something else. So keep that in mind. We can merge custom fields into each other.
That is a great.
All right,
Am I taking
it away?
Okay, fabulous. So I'm actually really excited to talk about automatic tasks because these are probably my favorite things to utilize, or they were when I was an event manager. So we would hop into our settings, which I'm here now, and we are going to go over to automatic tasks. So obviously our job as account managers is to make sure that automatic tasks are being utilized for only things that are super important to your locations. So for instance, if you have any SOPs that you absolutely cannot forget in your sales process, that is what automatic tasks should be utilized for. So some of the main ones, of course, would be, lead follow-up or sending out a thank you note with the invoice after the event, maybe a rebooking reminder. But I am going to show you one of my favorites because I think obviously it's probably one of the most important things that we need to make sure we get is event payments. So I'm going to show you how to add a new automatic task. We're going to name this event payment reminder. The trigger action is going to be event payment created. Therefore, if you do have an event that doesn't have payments applied, it will not give you this reminder, so it won't bog down your site. The trigger action is going to be the payment due date. And let's say I want it to remind us 1 day prior to that payment due date. The task type, these can be customized as well. So when Emily took you to your preferences and Dropdowns, you can actually adjust your task types. I'm going to include this as follow-up. And we're going to say contact client to remind them of payment due date. And then from here, we can select a location. So let's just say I want to do Blue Water, Boston. And then my favorite part about this is the Smart Task Assignment. So if you are a business that has multiple locations or multiple people that are within Tripleseat, different owners of different events, you can utilize the Smart Task Assignment to only remind the owner of that specific event. Or maybe you have managers associated with that event, maybe admins. You can do the owner and the managers. So it's really great because it makes sense for you based on the task you create with who you want to have it. Of course, you can always choose manual assignees based on their name, but we're going to go ahead and do owner. So we're going to save this automatic task, and then you can actually see these tasks as they come about in your tasks tab. We can filter this. Right now it's outstanding or overdue. If you're like me and you want to see how great you are, you can go to your completed tasks and make yourself feel good. Emily, look at all these tasks you've completed.
Yeah.
And then remember when we talked about users and making sure that they get the daily digest email? Well, this is going to apply specifically to tasks as well, because anyone that has a task associated with them on the due date, it will actually send them an email on that day with the tasks to remind them to go in and actually complete them. So it kind of goes full circle. It's definitely my favorite subject. Emily, what is your favorite task that you used to use as a director?
I'm sorry, I took the screen from you.
No, that's okay.
Okay. So my favorite task would probably be following up 2 days after the event to send a thank you note, or following up maybe the day after the event to touch base if I wasn't there to see what the thoughts were of how the event went. I also like to use reselling as a task. So if it's an anniversary or birthday, I normally put the task 9 months or 10 months out to remind myself to call and wish them a happy birthday or try to resell the event, especially with holiday corporate lunches.
Love that.
Well, I can talk about my favorite subject now, which is lead forms.
Hey.
I love lead forms. So people are always like, oh, Tripleseat, it's not giving me enough leads. Well, Tripleseat's not going to generate leads for you. You are going to generate leads by putting your lead form on every outlet that there is possible.
Yes.
Think about it. You want to have it anywhere that somebody's possibly looking for you. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TripAdvisor, Yelp, email campaigns, on your email signature. I can go on and on. You should have a lead form for every single one of those places, and they should be identified as the lead source of where they're coming from. So for example, on this page, you can see that I have many lead pages, but I can see that I have one for Facebook, I have one for LinkedIn, I have one for Twitter, and all of these have a source of where they're originating from. We're going to do that under Dropdowns. Remember where we went, Taylor, when we went to settings and then Dropdowns?
Yes.
So we created a Dropdown for Twitter. We created one for LinkedIn. When we were together, we did one for Instagram. So we're going to go ahead and create a new lead form for Instagram. So I'm going to press new lead form. I'm going to name it whatever I want, which is going to be Insta Emily's lead form. And for this one, I'm going to select all my locations. And really, this is something you're going to think about is, do I have an Instagram for all locations, or do I have an Instagram for each individual location?
Okay.
If I had it for one location, let's just say for Blue Water Restaurant Atlanta, I want to make sure that I'm choosing my banner picture for Blue Water Restaurant Atlanta so it would appear that way on my lead form.
Good point.
Okay. So I like to leave everything exactly the same in here. These are just standard fields that we've already filled out for you. So no need to make any changes in here. I would say the only change you definitely need to make is your lead source. So remember, I'm making this lead page for Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Insta. And I'm going to then create my lead form. I just want to show you one other thing though, before we move on. And that's your auto response email. So we've created this for you. This is the subject line, your event request, right? And this is what is going to be within the body of the email. If you want to have more information in here, let's say you want to put your menu in here. Take a look on our menu before we call you back. We can put a link of our menu. We could put a link of our website. So we could put a link of locations, or maybe you're on vacation and it needs to say, I'm out of the office for 4 days. I'll get back to you on Friday. So just keep in mind that you want to make sure that this auto response email is customized for your location. I'm going to go ahead and press create. And then under Insta, I would go to view my live page. and I can take this URL and put it in my About Me or my profile. Remember, certain places we integrate with, Facebook and your website. So you're actually going to have a button, or it's going to be embedded on your page. With Insta or with Yelp or with TripAdvisor, you need to make sure that you're putting it in your profile or About Me. And then somewhere within your Instagram, when you're posting, you want to say link in bio, just like the influencers
I was
do.
just going to say, you're your own influencer.
I know that we are close on time because apparently Taylor and I are chatty. So I'm going to pass it back over to you to talk about menu item categories.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And while that is linking, I do want to tell you menu item categories, which can be found in your settings, are another way for you to clean up your site, set yourself up for success, and be able to clean up your reporting. So with that said, we're going to hop back into settings. And then we are going to scroll down to menu item categories. So one thing to ask yourself, actually, I would say two things to ask yourself. Number one, do you need to run reports on each of the categories, and or are the taxes and fees different? If the answer to both is no, then you can utilize one category for multiple items. So what I mean by that is, for instance, let's say here we have staffing. Now, staffing would be the main menu item category. In staffing, we could have valet, bartenders, cleaning staff. Let's actually go in and see what we do. Okay, it's for all locations. So you can choose to pick locations. You can choose to add your taxes and fees, but anything that you're needing to go towards staffing, you can include it in this one item category. And then how you do that is you go to settings. You're going to scroll down to your pick list items, and then we're going to find staffing here. And now in staffing, we can include, again, valet, security, bartenders. All of these can be utilized for one menu item category. So to clean that up and to see what it looks like on the report side, if we go to reporting and we go into our event details report, which Emily actually showed us a report in here as well, and we go to our columns, this is where your item categories live. So again, they can be categorized by food, beverage, and staffing, or if you truly do need to break out each of the categories into that valet, bartender, cleaning staff for reporting purposes, you can do so as well. So I know that's just a quick snippet, but again, because we are short on time, that's as much as I'm going to go through with the menu item categories. The next thing that I want to show you, which is probably my second favorite thing besides tasks, because I am super detail oriented, are content templates. So think about anything that you are constantly having to insert into your documents over and over and over again, but maybe you don't want to create separate doc sets for. Maybe you just have multiple terms and conditions or multiple floor plans. You can actually create content templates. You can have it live within a specific folder. So right here, we have all of our floor plan arrangements. We can go in, we can see, okay, this is cocktail style, banquet style. I can go into my test event here, and this is where we can actually utilize the content templates. So we're going to scroll down to any of our text boxes. In this specific instance, I'm going to utilize setup. If I click on this little templates button here, I can now find my floor plans, and I can actually drag and drop that directly into my setup documents so that the team can see exactly how this should be set up on the day of the event.
Taylor, where are those documents pulled from?
Oh, I'm sorry, in the settings?
The content templates?
I'm sorry, I'm misunderstanding your question, but I think you're talking about how do you get to your doc sets?
No, I was just saying those pictures that you put in your content templates.
Oh, yes. Okay, so your file library, you can actually upload all information to your file library if you'd like, or you can actually, again, you would go into your content templates here. If I edit.
There you go, yeah.
I can go in and I can add a content template specifically to this folder.
It's great.
All right, let's see. It is 12:44. We have a few minutes left. Emily, I'm going to kick it back over to you for doc edits.
Okay. So I am sharing my screen right now. Can you see that?
I think it's just lagging for 1 second. There we go.
Okay, great. So I'm going to briefly just talk about the difference between a template and a layout. So you can see here on the right-hand side where my cursor is, the template is where everything lives. So your billing widget, your pick list, and your text box all live within the template. And then each individual layout, you can select which item appears on each one of these layouts. So the first thing you want to do is you want to ask yourself, do these layouts work for me? Do I utilize a BEO? Do I utilize an invoice or a proposal? If not, we can remove some of these and we can add different layouts that seem to work for you. You can see in here that I added a layout called my COVID edition because I want to share different rules with my guest now that COVID has passed. So more of an addendum to my terms and conditions. If we need to add or take away any of these, you can contact support or your account manager to help you. The last thing I want to show is going to be our marketplace. So if you are an admin and you go to your dashboard, you can see our marketplace located on the bottom left-hand corner, right underneath Refer a Friend. This is going to show you all of the companies that we integrate with, as well as any company that we partner with as well.
Love it. Well, I think we just went over by, what, 1 minute? I would say that's really good for us.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have so much more information to share with everybody, but that's why we have account reviews, right?
Yes, perfect. Well, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to support. You can utilize the chat function in the help question button in the top right hand of your screen. You can also reach out to support@tripleseat.com. And then, of course, you are able to reach out to your lovely account managers, and we'll be able to assist you, especially with setting up your site for success.
All right. Wonderful. Okay, bye, y'all.
Have a great day. Bye.
Are we off?